Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We caught up with Tim Harrison earlier today, MD at Ionic Rare Earths. This is on the ASX. They've got a rare earth project in Uganda, quite a big one. We talked through the result of the scoping study. Market didn't react well to that, but he explains perhaps with further reading, they'll actually quite like the numbers there. We also look at the MOU they've signed with Chanel. I think a big owner of Rio Tinto, if I'm not mistaken. That's a significant partnership. He explains what they're trying to do there over the next 12 months and what we can expect to hear from them. It's discussed the company itself and indeed Tim. You can find that at cruxinvestor.com/club, where you can also find detailed company reports and analysis. We've got commentaries from experts from around the world on a variety of companies and commodities, including rare earths. We've got training courses on there, and we've also done summaries of all the interviews that we've done to save you some time because we know you're busy people. But most excitingly of all, you might be interested to join a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, friendly and safe environment, free from all that nasty judgment, trolling and abuse you get elsewhere. And if that does interest you, you can check them out at cruxinvestor.com/club. And we'd love your feedback too. So give us a like, leave your comments below. And if you want to see precisely what we talked about today, do take a look in the description below. Tim, how are you doing, sir?
Good, Matt. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. We needed to call you. We saw the press release. So we're going to talk numbers. Because when did we see? Beginning of March. So you've been busy.
Yeah, time flies. We've been very busy finalising the scoping study and being able to get the scoping study out to the market today.
Good lad. Good lad. Hey, do us a favour, give us that 1 minute summary of the business for people new to the story coming into it. And what we'll also do is put a link to the previous interview where you went through business plan, strategy, team, markets, and all that kind of good stuff. That's something that they should look at if they're interested after this conversation. So give us the 1 minute overview.
Great. So we are developing, as Ionic Rare Earths, we're developing a rare earth project, an ionic adsorption clay project in Uganda. Makuutu Rare Earth Project. It's a 315 million tonne ionic adsorption clay resource, 120 k's east of Kampala. Really well-developed infrastructure area, shallow deposit. We are working through an aggressive development schedule. We've just announced the scoping study. We're now in a bankable feasibility study and looking at completing that program to support a mining license application within 18 months.
Fantastic. 19% came off the share price today. Market didn't like what you told them. What happened?
Look, a good question. I think we'll see over the course of the next few days, the market will have a bit more time to read that announcement and digest it. And I'm expecting that as that information sort of filters through, it's actually a really good announcement. I think it's a really good result for the project and the company.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. Okay, what do you think they were expecting and what did you deliver?
I think they were expecting a scoping study that had a production target that included the full resource. We've been working through the 315 million tonnes of mineral resource estimate at Makuutu. What we've delivered is a scoping study that's underpinned by the indicated resources, which is meeting the guidelines of the ASX. So in order for us to get to this point and release that scoping study, we've had to deliver a production target that's based predominantly on indicated resources. We've delivered that. I think we've delivered a very robust foundation for the project that will see us 11 years worth of production. We start off with one module, we ramp that up to 5 modules. We're producing up to 4,000 tonnes per annum of rare earth oxide. And it's not just any rare earth oxide, it's a critical and heavy rare earth product that the market won't be able to find elsewhere. So we're making a unique project, a unique product. We've ramped up over 11 years. And I think we're laying a foundation to potentially extend the life of the project by bringing in that inferred resource. And that has the potential to, on the current resource, potentially push out the life of the project to around about 27 years.
Okay, so what the market was expecting was that the full resource, you've only been able to put the indicated number in there, not the inferred, The inferred hasn't gone anyway. You'll bring that through. How quickly will you be able to bring that through?
So to bring that through, we're going to have to increase the classification on that resource from inferred to indicated. That means infill drilling. So we'll be coming to the market and advising them of the program that we're going to kick off on an infill drill program, which will look at increasing that indicated resource over the course of the rest of 2021. So significant amount of drilling to underpin that material then being able to be used within the Bankable feasibility study. The amount of resource that we're going to classify and increase from inferred to indicated is still to be determined by the company, given that, we've got something that's potentially 27 years. So we don't need to bring all of that to indicated to know that it's there. We just need to bring enough to an indicated status to provide a good base for us to develop the Bankable feasibility study.
Have you got the money to do that?
Yeah, look, we're well funded because we raised that money earlier this year. So, we raised 12 million earlier this year. So we've got funds to be able to execute the program that we've intended to deliver. Okay,
so let's go through some of the numbers, because I want to understand if it's a good enough project in its own right with just the indicated. Okay, so I remember it's a low capex project. So remind us of some of the headline numbers.
So the development of the first module, $89 million US in pre-production capital. So that will develop our mine and our process plant, which will process 2.5 million tonnes per annum of ionic adsorption clay material. And that'll produce about 800 tonnes a year of rare earth oxide equivalent product. The plan then is to use the free cash flow that is generated by the project to fund the additional modules. So we ramp up effectively every 2 years. We're adding a new module and ramping up the throughput from 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, up to 12.5. So the initial capital pre-production, 89 million, and we ramp that up to a 12.5 million tonne per annum throughput by year 10.
Okay, great. So, but I think some of the important numbers I need to understand is I get that you don't need to bring all of the inferred through, just enough to kind of make the BFS interesting. But talk to me about IRRs or cash flows or free cash flow from that stage or phase one project.
So it's what we're calling the base case, because it's basically going to lay the foundation for us to build a launch pad and away we go. So that base case has an IRR of 38% and an NPV of $321 million US and generating free cash flow post-tax of $766 million US over the 11 years. So it's a very robust business case, and that's taking into account that we've ramped up and we've built not the one module, but we're up at 5 modules. So we're putting through 12.5 million tonnes per annum of throughput. So potentially, it's a very attractive project and certainly very financeable.
Yeah, and so you're in no rush to spend what cash you have on bringing through the inferred, because you don't need to, you believe, right? So can we just talk about one of the things, because I think it's really important for me to try and understand how the cash flow ramps up as well, and your ability to actually get into market. Because one of the other press releases I saw was an MOU signed with Chinalco, or certainly one of their subsidiaries anyway. So what's the story there?
Okay, so just to address the MOU with China Rare Earths Jiangsu. So we've signed a non-binding MOU with the China Rare Earths Jiangsu, which is a subsidiary of Chinalco, and they have immense capability to not only help us to develop and accelerate the program at Makuutu, but potentially take our product as an offtake and downstream processor. They're one of the few companies in the world who have the capacity to do that. They're an extremely well integrated organisation, and I think that they can offer ionic rare earths certainly as a potential development partner, a mode in which we can de-risk the first module. So to me, I see it as being tremendously valuable for the development of Makuutu.
Yeah, I guess because it gives you a route to market and maybe access to capital. So what's the, it's non-binding. That's interesting. What's the expectation of this relationship during the term of this MOU? Where's it leading to?
So we are working through I suppose, a collaborative effort at the moment to work out how we can accelerate the development of Makuutu. So there's multi-facets with regards to the MOU, the non-binding MOU, developing the asset, working to de-risk the asset, potentially offtake, potentially investment within Ionic Rare Earths, or potentially investment directly within the project. So there's a number of attributes to the MOU, and we'll work through that over the course of the next 12 months. We're working with them now to try and put a program in place to help us move through the bankable feasibility study, test work, Chinese engineering, to try and de-risk the application of the technology and bring in their 40 years of know-how in heap leaching ionic adsorption clays.
Right, and what do they want out of that? Not just in terms of the terms of the project, but the product. We've talked about a bucket of rare earths rather than focusing on NdPr or anything specific. Is that what they want out of this deal too?
Well, I mean, being an ionic adsorption clay, it's going to produce a suite of rare earths, heavy and critical rare earths, similar to the products that have been generated by the diminishing ionic adsorption clays in southern China. So, there's no secret that the Chinese have been reducing the quotas on their processing of the ionic adsorption clays. There is spare capacity for processing the mixed rare earth carbonates that are generated by those assets. And a product and a project like Makuutu, I would imagine to them is extremely attractive by producing a product that can go directly into their existing production and supply chains. They've got the infrastructure that's already built to take a product like ours.
Okay. Been a little bit of talk about share price manipulation this week. Any thoughts? And why?
Not sure about that one. I've had a few calls with the ASX and ASIC, ASX specifically, but more in relation to other matters like the scoping study. So I'll leave that one to others to investigate.
But you've heard the rumor.
Oh, look, I've seen some things, but that's not really a focus of what I am doing day to day. I've been focused on this scoping study and the next phase of work that's going to add value to the project.
But who do you think who are people accusing of manipulating the share price? Do you know?
No. I haven't spent any time investigating that one, Matt.
Okay. Maybe you should. Maybe there's something in it. Who knows?
Maybe. Yep. I'll add it to the list of things to do.
Fair enough. I know it's late there. Maybe you can do it tomorrow. Okay. So it's a good press release. So what your expectation over the next few weeks is that people will understand why you've presented the information like you have in the scoping study. But as far as you're concerned, you've got the capital to go and do what you need to do, and it's all steam ahead, full steam ahead with regards to the BFS. That's your focus. Is that the top of your list?
That's right. I think that announcement today was quite a in-depth announcement. There's a lot there for the investment community and our shareholders to get their head around. It might take a couple of read-throughs to sink in. We'll try and put a bit more information out in the market over the course of the next week to bring a little bit more context to the rationale and why we've done what we've done. But we feel very confident that we are on exactly the right path to develop Makuutu into an operating asset, working to a timeline and bring this to production by 2024. That's our focus, and that continues to be the focus. We could have sat back and we could have held back the scoping study and said, oh, no, well, we're going to go and do more indicated drilling. But that wouldn't have helped us deliver on our ultimate target, which is to apply and receive a mining license application in the fourth quarter of next year. So, 18 months now to work through a bankable feasibility study. We've got a very robust basis for the scoping study, and now it's on to the next facet of developing Makuutu.
So what are shareholders looking out for next? 18 months is a long, long way away, especially in this market. So what are we going to be hearing from you about?
Yeah, well, look, we've just recently completed drilling on the exploration license out to the east of the project. So that's the first look that we're going to get at the potential for, additional tonnes that may come out of that large exploration license EL 00147. That we had 25 RAB holes, basically a kilometre spaced apart. So that reconnaissance program will give us an idea of whether or not we've got similar ionic adsorption clay material out to the east. We've also done another 42 holes across the deposit and to the northern tenement, which will give us an idea about the potential for extension. We're about to kick off an infill diamond program, which will essentially convert that inferred, or help us convert inferred resources to indicated. We've got metallurgical work that's underway at the moment, additional project activities. So I think that there's going to be a steady flow of news over the course of the next 6 to 9 months that ultimately is going to help us deliver value to the project and I think help the market increase the understanding of the valuation of Makuutu.
Brilliant. So there's a few things to look out for. Just in terms of this MOU, give me some of the timelines or deliverables associated with that, because the non-binding bit is the bit I want to see. Does it convert into binding? Does it convert into another MOU or another agreement or some kind of commitment, financial or otherwise, from this group, Chinalco or the subsidiary?
Yeah. So Matt, to put into context, the plan is effectively to work with Chinalco and China Rare Earths Jiangsu over the course of the next 12 months to move to the point where we can go to a binding agreement. We're going to be drilling some samples and sending those to China for some test work. And this is all about helping us with the increased confidence about the metallurgy and the process and the technology application, potentially looking at Chinese engineering to feed into the way in which we de-risk the development of Makuutu. So, yeah, there's certainly a program that we're working through, and we'll notify the market when we're in a position to do so about that program.
But anything in the interim between now and 12 months' time?
Potentially. It's just a matter of how quickly things move. The reality is that an asset like Makuutu is rare. So there's essentially ourselves and one other that's of the same size and potential to supply that type of basket for an extended period of time. So we know that we have something very rare, and if there's a desire to move and accelerate the program, then so be it. I could understand that given what we're sitting on at Makuutu.
Brilliant. Tim, thanks for the update. Stay in touch. Fascinated by the rare earth space and how it's moving. The Chinese involvement obviously is exciting for you guys. So I look forward to speaking to you soon. Okay.
Great. Thanks, Matt. All the best.